I figured out sports betting and I'm going to show you the secret step by step in this video. Now, if you guys enjoy these videos, make sure you guys smash that like button so it gets these videos out to the right people and everybody gets to see how to be an actual real sports bettor. Now, the first step to successful sports betting is pretty simple, all right? But most people don't understand this concept. You need to treat sports betting like a business because you have to realize anything that you put your money into, you need to treat seriously, okay? You have to treat it like a business and not a hobby. Okay, some people treat it as a hobby. Those people are the people that lose money constantly and they chalk it up to just being entertained. But that's not what we're here for, right? We're here to make money. And to make money, you need to treat sports betting like a business. Now, I'm going to give examples of a bad business owner and a good business owner. And we're going to compare that to a bad sports and a good sports. So let's start out with the bad. Now make sure you guys stay to the end of this video. Very important because I'm going to break down the math behind everything and what's going to actually break that light bulb in your head, and you're really going to be like, wow, this actually makes sense. But the bad business owner first focuses on daily profit, okay? So daily profit is what they focus on first. They're very in the now, worried about what's going on in that day, okay? And that right there can absolutely disrupt an entire business if the owner is worried on a day-to-day profit. Because when you are in this mindset here, the day-to-day profit, and you're worried about the day-to-day revenue, what that does now is that brings you down to emotions dictating what you're going to do in business. Okay? And you become emotional, and now you become making a bunch of decisions based off your emotion because you're focused on daily profit and the daily revenue of the business. Now, a bad business owner would focus daily on revenue, get triggered by emotions, and then what they do after that is panic if they have a bad month. Okay? They panic. And then what does that panic snowball into? Snowballs into changing everything. Okay? Start snowballing into changing everything, changing the way that you run the business, changing the strategies behind the business. Why? And if you see what I'm showing you here, one snowballs to the next. It's the way it goes. Focusing on day-to-day profit here and your day-to-day revenue triggers emotions. The emotions lead to what? Panicking after a month doesn't go like what you want it to go like. Then that goes into changing everything because now you think what you did doesn't work. So now you're going to change everything in the business to try to get something to work just because. Why? Because you focused on day-to-day revenue and not long-term value. Now let's go ahead and look at what a good business owner would look like. A good business owner would track what they're doing, okay? They track their edge in business. They play the long game, okay? They understand what? This is a long-term thing. A business is not a day-to-day thing or a month-to-month thing. It's long-term. It's year-to-year. That's how you stay in business. That's what the good business owner understands. The good business owner accepts bad months. Why does he accept bad months? Because he understands this is a long game, okay? That, yeah, maybe I'm going to have a bad month in business. It is what it is. I just have to keep moving on because why? The strategy that I've employed, because I've tracked this and understand what my edge is in the company, has been proven time after time and year after year. And what does the good business owner do? Focuses on scaling what works, okay? He doesn't become emotional. He doesn't get triggered because of a bad day, because of a bad week, and ends up changing everything. He just scales exactly what works within the company that's been proven to work year by year by playing the long game. So as you can see here, this is the complete opposite, obviously, of a bad business owner because the snowball effect here does what? It actually raises your business because he's tracking his business, his strategy, his edge in the company, making sure that he's making money long term by playing the long game, accepts that he's going to have bad months because that just happens. Okay, it is what it is. Sometimes you will have a bad month here and there. And then focuses on his strategy of what works and scales what works rather than changing every single thing in the business to try to just revamp something that has already been proven to work long term just because he's got emotional. Now let's translate this into sports betting. Okay, so let's look at this and just imagine this is sports betting. Okay, the sports betting, the one that is constantly emotional, worries about the day-to-day process, the day-to-day revenue. What do? They freak out when what? They don't have a good month, they don't have a good day, they don't have a good week. Their emotions get triggered. What do? They change their strategy. They think every single week they have a new strategy that's going to work, where they haven't tracked anything and they don't know because they're just going based purely off emotion and not logic. The good sports bettor does what? They track everything that they do. They realize what their edge is and they track their edge. They understand the long game is where it's going to work. They're going to focus on the year-to-year profit margins and the revenue, not month-to-month, not day-to-day, and not week-to-week. They're going to accept that there's going to be bad days, bad weeks, bad months. It is what it is. They don't get emotional. Then they focus on the strategy that they have tracked, and the ones that work, they scale what actually works. It's the same concept. That's why you have to treat sports betting like a business, and you will be successful. Now, let's go ahead and get into the strategy behind all of this, and let me show you the math that's really going to make you think, wow, I can actually do this. Now, if you guys want to pass through all this stuff that I tell you on YouTube, and you want all the answers delivered to you, and you want all the strategies lined out perfectly for you, make sure you guys click the link in the description. Now, let's go ahead and talk about strategy, okay? Strategy, because that's what you need to be successful long term. You have to have the right strategy. So for strategy, what I like to use here is I like to call it the balls and the cups analogy. All right. So what we're going to do here is we're going to what? Run into a street vendor. All right. This guy likes to perform magic tricks because he likes to, guess what? He likes to take your money. All right. But he doesn't understand that what he's doing, actually, we're going to flip the script here. All right. So what happens here is, let's say, for example, this guy has 10 cups. All right. Okay. 9 of those cups have balls in them. What does that mean? That means 90% of those cups have balls in them, right? So what we do is we go up to him and we bargain with him. We tell him, listen, we'll put $1,000 down every single time, and you got to give me $250 every single time I flip a cup and there's a ball under it. And him not knowing math, he doesn't understand what you're doing there. He thinks he's making a deal because he's thinking, wait, what? What do you mean? You put $1,000 down, you're only gonna get $250 back if you pick the right one, right? So he thinks he's getting a deal here. But what are we doing? All right, getting $250 back. That's the equivalent of, in sports betting, a minus 400 play, for example. Minus 400 play has an implied probability of 80%. So what are we doing here? We're giving ourselves a 90% chance to pull a cup that has a ball in it, with an actual implied probability for the odds for that vendor is 80% because of what we have convinced him to pay out if we do find a cup that has a ball under it. Now, what does that give us? That gives us right here a 10% edge. We have a plus 10% edge there if we just literally did this over and over forever and put him completely out of business because he would make zero money off of us. Now, how does that work? I'm going to show you. Let's go ahead and write down exactly this process laid out. So let's say 9 out of the 10 times we pull a ball that has, or we pull a cup and it has a ball under it. All right, so plus 250, we're going to go ahead and we're going to mark these all out. And you guys are going to see the magic happen. So we end up losing one time, right? And 9 out of 10 times we're going to win because it's 90%. We lose one time and we're going to lose $1,000 on that one shot. But let's go ahead and add all these up. Okay, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and one more. So what happens here? We've lost $1,000 on the one time that we pulled the wrong cup. All right, but we've won 9 times. So let's go ahead and add up what we got here. Okay, we have, if you take 4 of those, it takes 4 to get this money back. All right, so 1, 2, 3, we got our money back there. Now we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is just purely profit. So we lost $1,000, but we made $2,250. So what does that mean? When you add those together, we made a profit of $1,250. Now, what happens if we just do this long term and we just keep doing this over and over and over? This guy that is running this gig will go completely out of business. Why? Because we have found an edge, we have exploited that edge, and we're just doing this nonstop over and over and over. Now, just because of this analogy that I'm showing you does not mean you go out and bet minus 400 plays all the time and that's all you do. That's not what that means, okay? This is just using an example of when you find the right play, which is the right matchup, the right strategy, and it incorporates a play that's like this, for example, that's where you can exploit and win long term, finding your edge, okay? Do not go out there and blindly bet minus 400 play and think you're going to win 90% of the time, because you're not. Sportsbooks are not stupid, and it's just not going to work. You have to find and pick and choose the right areas to be able to do that. Now, again, let's do this long term. All right, let's say we do it over 100 times. So 90 out of 100 times we do this, okay? What happens now? We've multiplied this edge. What are we going to multiply this edge by? We 10x'd it, all right? We 10x'd our edge here. So now all we did here was take our $1,250 and now we 10x that, because now what we did, we just did this long term, okay? Long term now gave us a profit of plus 12,500 over the course of 100 times doing this. And what happens? We ended up pulling a couple of ball under there, 90 out of the 100 times, winning 90%, giving ourselves a 10% edge multiplied over time. Now look, this is how much money you'd be able to make. Thus, now the problem is because right here, when you start multiplying that edge, well, this street vendor, obviously, what is he going to do? He's going to be like, I'm not doing this anymore. Like, I'm not allowing you to do this because now you're going to keep making money off of me. Hence, that street vendor is what? He is the sports book, for example. Okay? Once you start multiplying your edge and doing this over and over and over, that sportsbook will limit you and it will ban you eventually, because winning sports bettors will get banned. Now, there's only a couple ways to combat exactly getting banned from a sportsbook. One being having so many different accounts that it doesn't matter when they ban you, you just open up a new account, which I wish I could tell you guys exactly how to do that on social media, but I can't. Okay, it's just no way for me to put that out there to be able to show you exactly how to do that. It is possible, but I can't show you that, unfortunately. Another way is scaling down and betting a smaller unit size so you don't trigger red flags at any sports books, and then you coast through making a decent income. And the final way now in the new age is being able to bet on peer-to-peer sports books, where you won't get banned no matter how much money you put out, because all you're doing is taking everybody else's money and not the sportsbook money. But now, to prove that this actually works, I'm going to show you guys a screenshot right here. I'm going to pull it up and you guys are going to see this is my stats over the course of a whole entire year. And as you can see here, you can see exactly where I exploited my edge, where I've hit 75% of the time over the course of a year, where my average odds for implied probability are at 70%, thus giving me what? About a 4 to 5% edge there. And I took that 4 or 5% edge and I multiplied that over the course of a year, and that's the results I was able to get. So in a market of pure uncertainty amongst most common bettors, this is the way where you can actually get certainty and security over the long term, making sure you have the right strategy in place and making sure that you're doing the right stuff to be profitable year in and year out with sports betting.